What is going on, guys? What is going on, guys? DarkAnubis here, back at it again with another video. Today, we're gonna be talking about the creepiest slash weirdest SpongeBob episodes out there. Um, this channel is mainly about horror. Um, I'm gonna be doing a bunch of other stuff, but it's mainly just focused on horror and scary things, scary stories, and you guys know the drill. Basically, anything scary, anything horror related, anything supernatural, paranormal. But in this video, I'm just gonna be talking about the creepiest SpongeBob episodes. So I'm gonna start off with number one. I'll go from 1 to 10, and then I'll put some honorable mention for you guys. All right. Um, as you can see, I'm having this display right here with my downloads because for some reason they're not in order. So I'm just gonna click on the pictures, show the pictures, and talk about the episode a little bit while I explain to you why I find it creepy and why is it on that spot. So, um, coming in at coming in at number one, we're gonna start at number one. The creepiest slash weirdest SpongeBob episode is definitely one of the newer ones, Ink Lemonade. Now, this episode, you probably haven't seen it because it's one of the newer episodes, and new SpongeBob, the new seasons, they have less viewers. But why is this episode creepy? Why is it the creepiest? Why is it on the top of my list? Well, I'm just in summary. Um, Patrick opens a lemonade stand. Sorry, not shop, a lemonade stand of literally ink. And where does he get his ink from? From Squidward. So he basically scares Squidward a bunch of different ways. As you can see, he literally opened his fucking body to show Squidward. And when Squidward gets scared, he inks. And he saves that ink, and people drink it, and he becomes popular, and people want more ink. So Patrick just keeps scaring Squidward to the point where he's going insane. So yeah, literally, if you guys haven't seen that episode, it's really disturbing, and by far the weirdest. And I don't think anyone needed this episode. It's really, really, really bad. And you guys don't know how I feel about new SpongeBob, but new SpongeBob is horrible. It's terrible. Animation is awful. Jokes are awful. It's not the same. So I won't get into detail about the newer seasons, but yeah, Ink Lemonade. Another picture I have over here where Squidward is inking and Patrick saves the ink. People buy his ink lemonade and they drink it and they love it. So Patrick just keeps scaring Squidward over and over again in the episode, and it's really disturbing. So yeah, coming in at number two. Number two is gonna go to Squidward in Clarinet Land. Now, why is it in my number two? Well, in summary, um, Mr. Krabs gets an old locker for SpongeBob and Squidward for their job, so they can keep their stuff tidy and But he gives them this old locker because we all know Mr. Krabs is cheap, so he gives them this old locker. SpongeBob decorates, remodels the whole locker, and it's literally the whole new world inside a locker. It's crazy. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's a really good episode, even though it's really weird. Um, Squidward then enters the locker, and it's a whole world, and he starts tripping balls. Like look at the scene. There's literally an eagle head that talks to him. The eagle head swallows him. Squidward is just trying to look for his clarinet because that's all he wanted the locker for. He just wanted to keep his clarinet safe from SpongeBob and from anyone else. So he looks for his clarinet, and he can't find it in this whole crazy world, and a lot of shit happens. There's some really creepy scenes with where Patrick is chasing him and he gets eaten. And if you guys haven't seen it, it's a whole trip, but definitely a good episode. So coming in number two, Squidward and Clarinet Land. Coming in at number three, we have Planet of the Jellyfish. Now, this episode is honestly weird and disturbing as well. Basically, in this episode, there's an alien jellyfish, and it's not like the rest of the jellyfish. He's really creepy, really weird, and he starts making these jellyfish clones, which attack the people in Bikini Bottom, the sea creatures. Well, sea creatures in Bikini Bottom, and they literally just turn them into monsters with black eyes who hate mayonnaise. So yeah, that's basically the whole episode. But they're really creepy. Everyone has like black eyes, except SpongeBob and Sandy. They save everyone, but the alien literally keeps the people and makes clones, alien clones of the sea creatures they keep. It's really weird, really disturbing. That's why it's in number three. Coming in at number four, we have In Spongiac. Um, I like this episode. It's one of the rarer ones where it's not really that popular. But basically, SpongeBob is insomniac, can't sleep, and he looks for help in Patrick. Patrick starts giving him coffee, tells him a scary story, doing the complete opposite of helping. And then SpongeBob starts going crazy and he starts imagining creatures talking to him, which are creepy. And there's this creepy Mr. Krabs that starts shooting mustard from his eyes and stuff. And so you guys should definitely check it out. It's a creepy episode, and that is why it is in number four. Coming in at number five, we have Procrastination. Now, this is a really good episode, one of the older ones. We all know that meme, that scene where SpongeBob is just writing his essay and he working his ass off, and all he writes is the. So, this scene is from this episode. Why is it in number five? You ask. Well, um, it's in number five. It starts off great. SpongeBob can't concentrate. He keeps procrastinating. We all do that. Um, but it gets to a point where it drives him insane. Um, he keeps, losing his focus. He's not doing his work from boating school, and then things take a turn, and his house gets on fire. Um, there's this clock, Gary, that starts talking to him. I have a picture right here, and the house is burning. His house, and his house starts talking to him like, "Why am I burning?" and stuff. And he just imagines a bunch of other shit. Like his couch starts talking to him too, and he's just imagining a whole bunch of stuff that's pretty weird and creepy. And this kind of scared me a little bit when I was a child. I'll admit that. So that is why it is in number five. So coming in at number six, we have Rock Bottom. We all know this episode, classic episode, one of the best SpongeBob episodes. We all love old SpongeBob, classic SpongeBob. We all know this episode, but basically SpongeBob and Patrick leave Glove World. Um, the bus takes them to the wrong direction. It doesn't take them to their house. They end up in Rock Bottom, which is just the deep sea, and there's a bunch of creepy sea creatures and stuff. And Patrick leaves in the bus. SpongeBob doesn't catch the bus. He tries over and over again, can never catch the bus, and he literally has to stay there because the last bus left without him. So he literally has to stay there, and it gets all dark, and the sea creatures are creepy, and you guys probably have seen this episode. So I don't need to go into too much detail. Rock Bottom, definitely one of the weirdest, creepiest. It goes in number six. Number seven. Now this is also one of the rarer episodes, like in Spongiac. Not a lot of people talk about it, but it is pretty weird and disturbing. And coming in at number seven, we have Gone. Again, not of the most popular one. Um, Basically, this episode, SpongeBob wakes up. There's literally no one in Bikini Bottom. Um, he starts missing them to the point where he goes crazy and he starts acting like them, like literally taking their roles in life and turning like them. Like for example, he sits in Mr. Krabs' um, chair and he starts acting like him. He starts acting like Sandy, and he starts talking to a boat because it's his only friend. He makes a Patrick out of Krabby Patty meat, and he talks to himself, and he's just going crazy. And then at the end of the episode, we find out that it was just everyone left Bikini Bottom just because it is National Leave SpongeBob Day or something like that. So that is basically it's pretty sad, because kind of feel bad for SpongeBob, but yeah, it is creepy just because he goes insane, starts acting like people, starts talking to things that are non-living, and yeah, if you haven't watched it, definitely do. It is pretty weird. Maybe not too creepy, but it's definitely weird. So, gone for number 7. Number 8. We all know this episode. I'm not going to go into too much detail either. Graveyard Shift. One of the best SpongeBob episodes. Just like Rock Bottom. Basically, the Krusty Krab starts opening 24 hours because of Mr. Krabs. Um, they're working the night shift, and Squidward starts making up these scary stories to scare SpongeBob. The scary stories he starts making up, they start coming true, and in the end, the slinging slasher, the killer Squidward made up, is just a kid that wants to apply for the job. And then this is the creepiest part of the episode, which is the end, where we get this vampire, which is Nosferatu. And you all know that scene. That scene used to scare me when I was a kid just a little bit, not too much. But yeah, Graveyard Shift. We all know that episode with the hash slinging slasher, and it's not really a scary episode. I put it on the list because it is worth putting on the list. But it's not really a scary episode. It's enjoyable. One of the best SpongeBob episodes. And yeah, coming in at number 8. In number 9, we're gonna have I Was a Teenage Gary. Now this episode is weird. Maybe not too scary. That's why it's at the bottom of the list. But it was weird. Basically, SpongeBob wants to go on vacation with Patrick. He needs someone to take care of Gary. He offers Squidward the job. Squidward doesn't want to, but then Squidward realizes that he won't have Patrick and SpongeBob, so he'll be free if he takes care of Gary. So he decides to take care of Gary, forgets about Gary. Gary is fucking suffering, and he notices Gary suffering when SpongeBob is already home. So SpongeBob finds out, gets worried. The vet or whatever gives him this snail plasma, which they have to put in Gary so that Gary turns out fine. Um, SpongeBob tells Squidward to put the snail plasma, which is in the little coral thing, in Gary because he's squeamish. It's basically like a needle with, the snail plasma. So he tells Squidward to do it because he can't. Squidward injects the snail plasma into SpongeBob by mistake, and then SpongeBob turns into a freaking snail. Okay? He literally turns into a snail and starts chasing Squidward, going meow, meow, meow. It's really funny. I find it funny. Some people find it disturbing and scary. I really find it funny. And at the end of the episode, Squidward injects himself by mistake with the snail plasma, and they both go snail, and that's the end of the episode. Nothing happens. They don't go back. They just stay snail. So a lot of people find it disturbing. Some would put it at the top of the list. I'm just gonna put it in number 9. Coming in at number 10, another top tier SpongeBob episode, SB 129. We all know this episode, classic SpongeBob episode. Basically, Squidward tries running away from SpongeBob and Patrick. He locks himself in the Krusty Krab freezer by mistake. SpongeBob and Patrick don't notice. They actually go to the Krusty Krab to look for Squidward. They don't notice he's in the freezer, and a bunch of years pass by, thousands of years. Squidward finally comes out of the freezer, and it's literally the future. And there's a bunch of SpongeBob clones. Everything is chrome. Bunch of two-headed Patrick. It's the future. A bunch of technology and stuff. It's really funny. Golden SpongeBob episode. What makes this episode scary, however, or weird? When it's scary, I'd say weird, because not all of these are scary. more, a lot of them are more into the weird side. But yeah, what makes this episode weird is that he goes to the past, right? After going to the future, he goes to the past in the time machine. Turns out the freezer is a time machine. He goes to the past, meets um Patrick and SpongeBob. Well, some form of Patrick and SpongeBob from archaic times, older times, primitive times, if you will. And he goes back into the time machine. He just wants to go home. He actually accidentally breaks the lever of the time machine. He uses the lever used to travel. And this is the weird part. The time machine flattens, and he literally goes into nowhere. And we all know this scene. We were all creeped out as a kid with the scene where he's literally in nowhere and there's a bunch of words. And when Squidward says he's all alone finally, because there's literally nothing there, he's in nowhere. Then the words alone just pop up, and there's these voices that keep saying alone, alone, alone. And he starts freaking out. At the end of the day, at the end of the episode, my bad. He goes back home. He finds the time machine, goes back home, and yeah, that is the end of the episode. So basically, the weirdest part of this episode is the alone part, where he's literally in nowhere. So that is the top 10 weirdest slash creepiest SpongeBob episodes, in my opinion. I do have some. I do have some honorable mentions, which are Nasty Patty, one of my favorite SpongeBob episodes. I think it's really underrated. I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but Nasty Patty is an honorable mention. Didn't make it in the list. We also have Spongehenge. I think a fair amount of people have watched that episode. The episode where SpongeBob makes these statues of himself, like Stonehenge. That's why it's called like that. Because, jellyfish and the wind, and he makes these sounds that attract jellyfish with his holes, and I'm not going to go into detail. So, Spongehenge also for honorable mention. And we also have Wormy, which is also an honorable mention, did not make it to the list. Weirdest part of this episode is the part where we get close-ups of the butterfly, and they show us this insect up close, like real life actual insect that used to disturb this shit out of me when I was a kid, and probably a lot of you guys too. So, also an honorable mention. And lastly, we have SpongeBob in Random Land, which I just recently found out about this episode. I don't watch new SpongeBob because it's trash, but some of you might know about the creepypasta of Squidward's suicide. I'm not gonna go into detail. You guys can look it up. Squidward suicide. It's not really a thing. It's a creepypasta. But they make an appearance for the creepypasta. So in this episode, a newer SpongeBob episode, they're in this place called Random Land. I guess I haven't watched it, and there's an appearance of Squidward suicide, which is this one right here. So this is not edited or anything. They actually make a joke out of it, and they put it in one of their episodes. So that is why it's an honorable mention. But that is it, guys. I'll say I'm sorry for doing it this way. I kind of wanted to do a slideshow, but it wasn't really working. The things were in order. They didn't want to go in order, the pictures. So my bad, guys. But anyways, guys, I'm just gonna leave it here. Hope you guys liked this video. Be sure to drop a like. Be sure to comment your favorite SpongeBob episode, or comment the creepiest SpongeBob episode that did not make the list. Or if it did make the list, tell me why did you find it disturbing. So drop a like, comment, subscribe if you're new. I'll be doing more videos soon. Creepy slash horror related content. And yeah. Hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.